The time being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Jason Harris. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, the first item on our agenda are announcements from the Health Department. This time I'll turn it over to our health agent.
We'll just keep it brief. We still have COVID test kits if anybody's looking for COVID test kits. That's it. Short and
Wow.
sweet.
Very, very brief. Okay. Any questions for the Health Department?
Any new bird flu updates? Any more close sightings?
It's not being reported on.
Okay.
If anyone's interested, probably the WHO is your best resource for information right now.
Okay. Wonderful. Anything else? No? Okay. All right, moving on to our, really our only main action, discussion item for the evening. I apologize for the typo I have on here, but that shouldn't impact how we conduct this sort of business. I have written discussion regarding public hearing regarding body art. We already did the public hearing, so next the word public hearing, and that was my thing. We're going to continue our body art regulation discussion. If I know I wasn't here last, was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, it feels like forever. And we elected to have everyone do a little homework, come back if they have any concerns, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, we decided not to go through it page by page because
That would take a long
unanimously
time.
we all agreed that it really was pretty straightforward and
Yep.
well-written. The only thing that we had discussed at additional length was the age, whether it be 16 with parental consent or 18. And I can say that since last week's meeting, or 2 weeks ago, I've thought about it. My conscience tells me that it should be 18 plus still, and that was in alignment with all the other community members that I had discussed it with as well.
I think as far as what's written in here, and what we've said from our health agent, it's the two pieces that are really kind of the variable and have been part of this discussion are the age, which isn't explicitly written. Chris, was it mobile tattooing?
Mobile and temporary.
Right, which this allows and our current regulations do not. So
Yeah.
those are really, I think, in essence, the two things we've got to put some thought into with this. And it's probably worth having a discussion about today. If I recall from our public hearing, nobody seemed to have any major objections to anything else in here other than the fact that those things were either omitted or included. So I think that if we can come to some sort of consensus here now with that, I didn't put vote, so we can't put any vote on that. When we come next week, if we feel comfortable enough with whatever wording we insert after we discuss this now, then we can move forward with a vote on this pending approval of town council. Does everybody think about that? Perfect.
Agreed.
Okay. All right, so Katie, you brought up an age. Let's maybe have that conversation.
Sure.
Nobody has the current regulations on them, do they? No?
The old one?
Yeah, the
I-
ones
I-
currently in effect?
Yes.
Not that we need it necessarily. I just asked because I'm curious how it's written currently in our regulations.
This is the new one, right?
That's
This
the new
is
one, yeah.
Updated one.
Um,
Updated one. I might.
Of course, I can't find any of mine at the moment, so. Nope, that's private.
2023?
That's private wells.
Oop.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Let's see.
It should be, but the website has changed so many times. Yeah, because then I think,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So section 7, section 4, restrictions. A, no tattooing, piercing of genitalia, branding, or scarification shall be performed on a person under the age of 18. So just all body art, no one
Okay.
under 18.
Okay. My personal opinion on this, I think that this should be something that is left up to the shop's discretion. Not that I personally believe that it is a good idea for somebody under 18 to do that, but I don't know that it does us any good as a community to make that decision for the business. And it's difficult for me because public health is always weighing personal freedoms versus the right of businesses and the protection of public health and all those different things. While I'm concerned maybe about an 18-year-old making that permanent decision, don't know that that's my call. And I'm going to, I would elect then that maybe 16 is a more appropriate age for there is terms of us making a regulation, but any shop can decide to do it at an older age if they want. That's my personal opinion.
I think 18 is more appropriate. I think there's a great level of difference between a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old and their ability to care for something that requires attention afterwards. It is essentially like a wound, and you have to treat it and care for it and keep it clean. And I think that an 18-year-old would be better. I think it's just more appropriate. And I even think, like, there were 3 different tattoo shops that were here the night that we had the public hearing, and I loved that one of them also advocated that he thought it should be 18 plus. So I thought that was reassuring. I understand that the businesses might lose the business of the 16 and over with parental consent, but I feel like in my heart I'm okay with that. I feel they can go to the surrounding towns, and then there was the talk about the under the table or like the, you know, under the radar shops, but I think that will happen regardless. I feel pretty strongly about making sure that Abington has just like a higher standard. That's my thought. You go, Sue, you go.
Yeah, I'm the 18 plus. I understood the arguments about business going to other towns. I don't know, there's something to be said for having an extra level of integrity to your work. And sometimes the almighty dollar isn't the all and the end all. And I agree too. It's like, for centuries, people have been getting tattoos in the basements and having their ear pierced with a potato and such. But, you can't make rules based on, somebody might do something like that.
Yeah, because it's a youth-related matter, I feel pretty strongly about it. I agree that I don't like taking away anyone's right to do anything, but I think if you're not old enough to vote, maybe you shouldn't be old enough to make a permanent body modification.
I agree, yeah. You're reminded for a reason.
And I want to emphasize, I am not advocating that 16-year-olds go get tattoos, because I personally do not believe that. But I think, as we've learned, and in my 6 years now being on the board, if we do not take into account personal freedom, or at least have this conversation and take it seriously, not that we aren't, then that isn't fair to those individuals. And we had to see a lot of that. So I want to make sure we talk that out, and that's why I bring this perspective. My other concern, and why I also leaned this way, is I don't like the thought that these certain individuals maybe want us to be the bad guy when we don't have a good public health basis to do so. We can make arguments, I think, on one way or the other. I just want to make sure that whatever decision we make, it's a reasonable health regulation, because that's the only way we can do it. I think that both of what you said is very rational, and my personal opinion would align. I just want to make sure we think about that.
Yeah.
So as long as we're doing that and we're comfortable with that decision, then, that I'm not going to get in the way of us making that decision. But I think that's where we've got to be at least even keeled enough so that we can, at least advocate appropriately. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
I don't like the idea of being a bad guy either, but I feel like we presented the opportunity for the community. We had the public hearing. If people felt really strongly about this, they had an opportunity to come and talk about it. And really, it was only the shop owners who did. I mean, we could bring it to like a town meeting and then have like the town do a vote, but I don't think that would be any different than the public hearing.
Right. Oh, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we had 2 people from the same shop say something, and then 1 person from a different shop. So we really,
I
in
thought
terms
it
of
was
shops,
3.
No, we
3.
had one
It was
show up
3.
afterwards.
Yeah, but that was,
Yeah.
2 of them were from the same one, the 2 ones that were already here. Right? Was that?
No, because
There was somebody from Tiger Shark and Blood Ink and Tears.
Okay,
And
all right,
then-
so
yeah,
that's fine. Oh, yeah, because, okay, that threw me off.
Yeah.
Okay, well, either way. Okay, I don't know, we're not voting on the regulation
Yeah,
yet, so I don't know if we need to
We can also
vote.
have Kevin weigh in next time when he comes back, and that way it's not just the 3 of us.
Jason.
It would be 4. Yeah, what did I say?
Kevin,
I don't know why I called him Kevin.
Kevin's got no say.
it's been a couple years. Yeah.
Kevin, but.
Yeah, because, all right, so, and that might be good too, and not, I mean, it would actually be more complicated if he agrees with me then, because then
True,
we're split down the middle.
actually,
But I think let's, when we go to vote on the regulation, we can make an actual decision, but kind of going into it informed of, all right, so we kind of know where we all stand. I think this will make that conversation a little easier. I'm willing to compromise, I think, on how we do this, but I want to make sure that we have that conversation, so that's why I'm being difficult. So there. I don't care, I'll throw myself under the bus.
So do we want to talk about the mobile part? now?
Yeah, we probably should have that discussion as well. Where is that written in here? Is that section 3? Content number 3?
So that's in the old one, not the new one.
This would be the new one.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not in the old ones at all. So
At
that's the
all,
only
so-
reason I brought it up last
Okay.
week.
Let's find it.
Should remember exactly where it's written.
So 14 was the age part. Operator requirements.
But it's under section 13, license requirements.
Ah, that would be it.
Way at the end.
Or it might be 14 on, if you're looking at your version.
Yes, the table of contents is, oh, no, I got it. Yeah, section 14.
Because I had to add.
Is this, we're talking about temporary?
Temporary, and
So we don't have temporary currently?
we don't have temporary currently, and we don't have mobile. So it's 14.4 and 14.6 is the, specifically addresses temporary and mobile.
Temporary body art establishment licenses will not be issued unless the applicant is currently affiliated with a body art establishment where applicable is licensed by the department. So if it's an out-of-town shop, they have to come and get licensed by,
They would have to get a guest practitioner license with us anyway. if they're
I get, oh, so the
I
practitioner would
like
have to get a
that.
license, but they need to be affiliated with an establishment that's
Yeah,
licensed by.
so it says the department, so whether that, I think the challenge we get here with the wording is some states, it's at the state level, some it's at the county, so we just have to specify whether it would be locally us or, I myself would be comfortable permitting somebody that's licensed in an out-of-town tattoo shop, because it doesn't make much sense for somebody local to do a temporary.
I mean, I think
Right,
that
it would
then.
have to- right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that we just change it to say by the department, to say licensed by their authority, whatever that authority
By,
is.
yeah, by a department or
Yeah.
a local.
Yeah.
Or
I
by
would
the,
want you to
you know.
do an out-of-town shop, so that way you were holding them to our higher standards
Yeah.
theoretically.
And if they're from an out-of-town, they're gonna get a guest permit anyway, so it's, we're
Have to
holding,
do
yeah,
it
we are
all.
holding them to those standards. And the nice thing about the way this is written for both the temporary establishment and the mobile, they're held to the same standards as a permanent shop. And then it goes above and beyond. So I personally, as a regulator, don't have any concerns. I just wanted to make sure that the board talked about it because it is something different than we have now. The temporary would be more common where, like in Boston, they have conventions. We don't really have anywhere suited here for
No,
that.
That was my
need will
thought, was
probably
what
not
kind of an
arise.
event?
But
Yeah.
better to be prepared and have it in our policies.
Yeah, and it just, there could be, I don't know, at an Abington Celebrates, maybe an out-of-shop town wants to come do something. I don't foresee that, but.
Out of Shop Town, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, out-of-town shop. And the mobile, that's certainly more realistic. Some shops already have mobile establishments set up.
I mean, I hate to liken it this way, but I feel like mobile tattoo shops is like food trucks. In a way, we can
Yeah,
handle that a lot similar there. I mean,
yeah, they would require a
yeah.
full inspection.
right, and this dictates liquid wastes and things, so we're not getting into making those decisions. Yeah, and I
Sounds
think.
like we're all in agreement then, we
Yeah.
just gotta figure out the wording.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an avenue to say yes, it's just making sure that, I don't think there's any reason why, and you can tell me in practice, why we would need to go through and have them get permitted like 9 different times. If they need to, we just need to word this in a way where them applying for this temporary establishment, they just need to meet that objective set of criteria.
Yeah, and I think I'd have to look through the licensing requirements again. I think there's a section in there that addresses guest, so as far as the practitioner,
Yeah,
they would have
there's-
to get a guest permit anyway.
Well, so there's temporary body art license in here, which I assume is
so
part of
that's-
this.
yeah.
But the same thing still applies, is currently affiliated with a body art establishment, which where applicable is licensed by the department. And has paid a fee set by the department, so I just need to
So I was
clean that
gonna
up.
ask, is there a fee attached to the temporary,
Currently, so we do guest permits now, it's $50.
so there is a fee?
Yeah, and we
Because there should
generally,
have to be, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there should
It's gonna
be.
but-
take you away from your normal duties to even call up about with their regular town, just a
Yeah.
phone call.
But I think we leave the fee out of the regulation and keep it as part of the fee schedule so we can mend that easier.
yes.
Because then we don't have to change the regulation. We just have it set by the department and then we put it in the fee schedule and that way we can change that.
Yeah.
We can review them on an annual basis, whatever we'd like to do.
Yeah, and that's for a limited time. I think currently I issue them for, like, at max 5 days. It's usually 2. Somebody's coming up for the weekend.
Yeah, and these say they
This
expire
is 14
14.
days.
So,
Or would, I know the other one said,
Seems like a lot of days.
yeah, for the establishment, it
the nice thing
was
about that is it gives them some wiggle room if there's a sick day or, they.
Or reschedule.
temporary body art
following
licenses
weekend.
expire after 14 days or the conclusion of the special event, whichever is sooner.
Yeah.
That's the establishment, but the practitioner is different. So, I mean, I assume we can shorten or lengthen that if we feel it's necessary, but I don't know that that's, unless that becomes a problem,
Yeah, the ones that have been doing so far are generally for 2 or 3 days, just somebody coming in for the weekend.
right. Okay, so, I mean, I think very simply, we just adjust the wording on that to make the licensing clearer. Is there, are we gonna have a different body art establishment permit application with these new regs?
I don't think so. What we have now marries with the code. I did ask Eddie, who's on the committee, to see if they would, inspection forms, whether that needs to be changed or not. The other thing is, and I apologize for not looking this up ahead of time, I think on the practitioner permit, there's an exam they're supposed to pass based on the code that the health department would administer. So I've asked the committee to come up with that. We could certainly throw one together, but since they're providing us the model regs.
Exactly, I remember that, we talked about that way
Yeah.
back in the beginning of this.
Yeah, and even under our old regs, I think that came up at some point.
Did.
Absolutely, we could put together a test, but I think since the committee has done such great
They
work
should
on the regs, they can
decide
come up
what
with
it
an
is, yeah.
exam for us.
Agreed.
And that would probably only be administered for new tattoo. I can't see making somebody take a test annually when they've been tattooing for 30 years.
Right, like a new practitioner for Abington.
Yeah.
I agree.
So if this is a requirement in here, though, what are we gonna do in the meantime, if we don't have something?
Well, they don't have it now.
They don't have it in the code now, is that what you're
In
saying?
our current code, yeah, there's no.
No, I know, but let's say next week we decide we're gonna do this.
Oh,
What
yeah,
what are we gonna do?
We can't do anything then, we'd have to put the whole thing on hold until there was an exam.
Well, I mean,
we could, I can check, I'm sure there's some stuff online. There's some we can pull together in the meantime until an official one's drafted up.
okay. Maybe if we could at least have that kind of in mind, because if we do need to go approve this with changes
Yeah.
next week, we could always omit that and add it back in once we have it available.
I can have something for the next meeting.
Okay, that's
I'll
fine,
throw
yeah.
together something.
And really, it's really whatever I think you're comfortable with. I do like that smoking and vaping are prohibited in all indoor areas now, so that's good. It's listed in those regulations. Anything else that we'd like to discuss on this? I think those were the main things that we had brought up, so, no? Perfect, okay. So we'll throw this on, I'll throw it on as a discussion and possible vote item for next week. We'll clear up and come to official decisions on what we discussed. Based on our discussion, let's see if we can get some wording together, just so that way we can approve that wording as well, and then it can all just go to town council at once.
I think we did mention too, and just for your edification, because you weren't here, I think it's section 23. Or maybe, is there not a section 23?
It's 22 on this version.
Section 21, Department Personnel Competency Requirements. So on here, Department personnel performing environmental health sanitary evaluations or complaint investigations shall hold a bachelor's degree in environmental health and be a registered sanitarian or CHO. So if you guys pass that, then nobody can inspect them. So that's just.
Yep.
We'll just eliminate that.
I mean, I'm getting certified as a body art facility inspector this week, and it's a course certification run by these guys. I would think that would suffice,
I would say so.
but just that caveat that if you insist that they be an REHS, we're not gonna be able to.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that whole thing
What
should
page is that
probably
on?
just be omitted. That whole section should just be omitted. That's page 34. This
Okay,
is a
new
completely
one.
different thing. Yeah, 34. Okay. I think we can handle that. That's fine. So, section 14, what is this saying? Personnel must meet the same requirements as body artists?
Yeah, and I mean, and
What
we
is-
currently do, like, that, I
Yeah.
feel like that's reasonable.
Yeah. What is the,
Page 31,
Expectation
number
for that.
21.
so everyone in the department has to pass this examination at a 70% or higher as well,
Yeah.
for the way that's written currently? Okay. And you must be licensed to use an ear piercing gun.
All right, I don't wanna think about that. I don't intend on piercing anybody's ears.
Yeah, unless 3.3.
So
So-
that part needs a little work still.
Yeah, I mean, if we just omit the whole section, then none of that matters, but, okay. All it says is that you demonstrate knowledge of the code. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Okay,
Passing the code testing.
yeah, the test that you'll probably make, you need to pass,
Yeah, correct.
so. Okay, any further discussion on this? Nope, wonderful. All right, moving on to our quick stuff. Vote to approve the minutes of February 3rd, 2025.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion approved from Katie, second from Susan. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So that'll be 2, 1, 1, because you abstained, Jason's not here.
Be 202.
2, 0, 2. 2, 0, because you're not, oh, 2, right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, because I wasn't here, so those are approved. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. Wonderful. Health agent report.
Yeah, everybody should hopefully have a copy of that. Since last meeting, inspections, inspected Spencer's Pizza, Walmart, Greta Bistro and Lounge, which is a new Caribbean restaurant that opened up at 806 Brockton Ave. I did a pre-occupancy inspection at the Point Apartments. That was a housing. Inspected Smith Superstore or Route 18 or Stones, depending on how long you lived in Abington. Smart Stop Convenience, Mal's Kitchen, Powerhouse Nutrition, Cellar Tavern, Lynch's Tavern, and then AB Mart today. No priority violations in any of those inspections.
The cat was no longer on the premise.
No, that has been taken care of. Cat has a job somewhere else, not in food service.
Oh, that's good.
Complaints, we received a complaint about an apartment at 585 Chestnut Street. I went out, did a complaint-based inspection on that, a correction order was issued, and that's being resolved currently. And then as far as trainings or conferences, we had a de-escalation training on the 10th, and that's something all town employees have been going through. And on the 13th was our Region 5C Emergency Management Coalition meeting. And that was it. And then tomorrow on Thursday, I'll be taking the body art certification.
It's a 2-day course.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure it'll be as thorough as the regulations, so it
Yeah.
should be a
Wonderful.
fascinating 2 days in front of my computer.
So it'll be interesting to see if after doing that, you come back and you have any other thoughts.
Scrap
I
the
like
whole
that
thing.
you're doing it.
I do have two questions for you, Chris. Pre-occupancy inspection, we had that whole regulation we were talking about. Is this,
So
not that I expect it to be the same thing, how does that relate?
anybody that is getting assistance with housing from federal or state is required to do a pre-occupancy inspection, and they call on the local health departments to do that, so it's.
So we do
basic-
have some experience doing a pre-occupancy inspection.
Yeah,
For the record.
the funny thing was, and this ended up being a bit of a horror story, but the apartment was fine. So when I go out and do a normal inspection for pre-housing, it's complaint-based. So the inspection form that we have is complaint-based. Because this was being done for a state pre-occupancy inspection, my concern was if everything is in order, I'm handing in a report that's completely blank with a narrative at the end. It doesn't look like you did anything. So I did go online and get HUD's inspection form because that has pass, fail, not applicable. So I could actually go down a bulleted list to show that an inspection was done. Because we don't take pictures of things that aren't violations, because our inspections are violation-based. So that was completed, the apartment was fine. tenant didn't think so, but sometimes you have to explain to people what minimum standards are versus what we wish we had. So, it's all good.
And then I know we had had a discussion about, I know one of these inspections and the food code and something related to that there. I don't, until I think we've had that conversation further, I don't want to get too into the weeds with it, but
Refresh my memory.
I know, I feel weird bringing it up across the room like this. Food code, certain sections of it, maybe we have this conversation later and we bring it back up to the group
Was
when
it
it's a little
about
more fleshed
sealing
out.
and Packaging?
Yeah, prepackaged food technically,
Oh, whether or not they need a food permit?
yeah.
they do.
Or we're trying, I'm sending it, I'm
Yeah,
sending it.
I'm not receiving.
Okay, all right, we'll add this to next month's agenda because we
Okay.
need to have a sidebar and make sure that we're clear on that. But if it's something that we need to do, we'll bring it before the board, we'll have it done.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't want
Perfect.
to just talk about it now?
No. Public comment?
Good.
Perfect. Correspondence, does anybody have any correspondence to share? None. Perfect. All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. And I will just say, as a reminder to everyone at home that watches diligently, we'll meet next week. Because of the President's Day, we're bumping up against each other, and then we'll go back to every other week until mid-April because of other holidays. All right,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
Do you have a second?
Second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is adjourned.